Yeah. Good afternoon. All right. There we go. There we go. I was inspired to do this live feed. It's not my normal weekend live. Usually weekend live because I have a mission with this live feed. Now, my signal isn't that great and my internet's been kind of wonky. So if it goes out for a second, kind of hang out and then we'll go then I'll try to get back in, even if I got to do it from my phone because I really want to talk about this. So we'll get some more people in here, and then if you want, share this video out. I really want to help some people out with this information because I've been pretty successful in my trucking career. I've been driving since 2008. And although I don't drive as much as I used to, I still have my finger on the pulse of, and I've got a really good circle of friends. I've got like my innermost circle, and then I also have an outer circle, and then I have acquaintances. And in the last, 14 years, I've really acquired a lot of friends and talked to a lot of different drivers. Being a YouTube person, I've talked to a lot of drivers. They give me their experiences, both good and bad, and and this is for company and owner operator. I mean, we're going to kind of go over both of them, and we're not here to trash anybody. We're not here to degrade any company. This is not what this is about. What this is about is for you as a driver, whether you're fresh out of CDL school or you've been driving for about 10 years and you want to switch companies. This is about doing the proper research for that, okay? Because in this age of social media, there's a lot of things that you have to take with a grain of salt. And I'll give you a back history. So let's do some shout outs here, and then we'll get to the meat and potatoes of this live feed. Overheated in the Ozarks. Yep. It's hot again, ain't it? This tour life, what's up, Jason? I saw your I haven't looked at the last text, and I apologize. In the middle of something, I completely spaced it. But Jason, I'll get with you later on that. Thank you very much for what you've done. Mr. Chucky, what's up? And Jason, I can't mention out loud because there are ears here, and it's going to be Christmas. So, Max Force, what's up? Big Houston, Sage, Hot Seat, Adam, Petro, and Sparks, Nevada. There you go. Wheelburn Express, good to see you here. I've been enjoying your channel, and I'm glad to see you here on mine. Adam, what's up? Adam Bennett, good vibes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you to whoever gifted me this temporary membership. I appreciate you. That was Shannon Thomas, who's ironically not in here yet. Eugene, barbecue baked chicken quarters, string bean with onion and mac and cheese Sunday dinner. Sounds like did you get the last text I sent? I think so. Let me look here. Let me look. Yeah, I saw the attachment. I haven't looked at the attachments yet. Wow, that's going to be awesome. Yep. Dude, you got to give me your Cash App so I can compensate you in some way. So let me look at that last text. Nice. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jason. And it's good to have good friends, and I appreciate you. Desert Oak Pam, good afternoon. Sage, can't share it till the strike is up. Well, quit doing things that make your strikes happen. I know. Clyde, good evening. Donnie Luke, good evening. Truman, how are you? Long time no see. Been working 3 p.m. till 3 a.m. 7 days a week. Well, hopefully you're doing okay. I'm doing okay. No, sir. Well, I got to compensate you somehow. At least pay for the shipping. Unless you come through Springfield, then I can just I'll buy you dinner or something. Anyways, all right. So 6:50 is the all right. So Dad was an owner operator and a truck driver in the 80s and 90s. He passed away in 2003, and he had left the trucking industry about a year before he died, and he was a truck driver since I was like 12 years old. So you know, throughout the years, you see the different companies, Schneider, JB Hunt, and Warner and Swift. They were all around back then, but they were still young, budding companies, right? I mean, JB Hunt was pretty big. I believe Schneider was too. Louder. I can't get any louder. It's literally the same volume that it's always been. Oh, I will never stop just going to get louder. Okay, never mind. Okay, I thought you were telling me to get louder. Sterling, what's up? And he didn't want me to become a truck driver. He really didn't. He'd have a rough day or a rough trip that we were on, and he would beat his hands on the steering wheel and literally almost threaten me, "Hey, don't ever become a truck driver. Do better than me," right? And of course I didn't listen, obviously, but what I did listen to though is what to look for. So when I went to CDL school, they had a list of questions that we were supposed to ask the recruiters that came into class to try to recruit us young, green, CDL flunkies, right? And I had already made my own list. And one of the resources I I haven't been on, come on. I have not been on Truckers Report in a long time. In fact, my name on there is Eeyore. If you guys can find Eeyore, you'll find my old postings of when I went through CDL school and when I went to Transland. So I already acquired a list of things to ask for, and I would spend hours on that website. I would look at the bad, the good, the ugly. I would look at all the companies, and I knew right from the get-go that I was probably going to pick a Springfield, Missouri-based company. And of course, everybody knows about Prime. But there was Transland, there was RBX, who at the time, RBX I don't think would do new CDL students. There was IWX. There was Ozark. They have a terminal here. And then, of course, the big one, Prime. Then you had Coke and FedEx and all that stuff. And, and there was, at that time, there was ONS, which later got bought out by Prime. And I want to say there was another. And, of course, other companies came in like Covenant. I've already told you guys my Covenant story. So and every single recruiter that came through our CDL school, I hammered them in a nice, polite way. And the teachers let me because they knew my background. They knew where I got these questions from. And they also gave us a similar sheet. So at that time that I was getting my CDL, you had the internet, don't get me wrong, but it was a little bit harder to research a company. You didn't have the Safer website, or you didn't know about it. You didn't have as many resources as you do now. Truckersreport.com was a great one because it gave you the perspective of drivers that were either at the company or whatever. Now, you have to filter out the people that are jaded because they weren't good workers. You have to filter out the people that didn't really know how to run their business or didn't know how to run their truck efficiently. You had to kind of like figure out which those people were, the kind of person that's not happy at any company that they're at, right? But you would also look for the people, you would also have to keep an eye out for people that were never at a company. Like, I trash Landstar a little bit, in a funny way, because I know people that are doing well at Landstar, but I also know people that didn't do well at Landstar. And so there's parts of the Landstar system that I liked, and there are parts of the Landstar system that did not work for me. And you have to be able to filter what doesn't work for you may be able to work for the person next to you. Okay. But here's where the proper research has to kick in. Are you guys ready? You have to know, you want to know certain questions answered. You want, that doesn't even make sense. I'm kind of hopped up on coffee and I apologize. You want to be able to, number one, let's say there's a company that you're interested in, okay? If you're fresh out of CDL school, all the majors want you. Crete, Prime, Swift, Werner, and some will even pay for your school if you go to their company. And most of them, they want you to have 12 to 18 months at their company. If not, they'll charge you for that school. Now, if you enjoy the company, that's not a big deal. But if you don't enjoy the company, then that could be, debt that's transferred to you, and suddenly you're in collections and all that, and your credit is ruined. So, or damaged at least. So you have to be aware of those companies. So what I found was most in-house CDL companies I wanted nothing to do with. Now I did almost choose Prime, but only because of the way their training worked. But I did not go that route. And it wasn't because a bunch of people told me not to go to Prime. It was because I knew that they wouldn't suit my needs, which I wanted to be home every other weekend. And I didn't like the big, huge conglomerate company. I've been to the Prime terminal. It's very nice. The food was good. The resources looked awesome. But at the same time, home time was more important to me than all those resources, which I didn't even need since I live right here in Springfield. And so I knew that Prime wasn't for me. And my CDL instructor recognized that, and he took me and another guy to Transland. Transland we love. They're a 150 truck company. They had about 300 trailers, so they had some drop and hook, some, mostly live loads, and they promised you to get you home every other weekend. But the other thing was the recruiter that they had at this time was a sweet older lady who was extremely honest. Like, she flat out said, if their insurance was great for a single guy, but not for a family. If you wanted to be on their container division, which they don't have anymore, you were going to make less, but it's a lot harder work. I mean, she was just brutally honest. And then she also said that if you are at Transland and you and things aren't going the way that I told you that they would go, you need to talk to me and we will settle it. So she was invested in how each driver was doing. And so when I did the research on truckersreport.com, 9 out of 10 drivers recommended them, told me exactly how it was going to go down. And the one bad review that was there, and there wasn't too many reviews, it was somebody that obviously was jaded, because he literally said the opposite of what Transland really was for me. Now, a lot of that is how are you personally? How are you, getting along with your dispatcher? Sometimes it's a personality conflict. But the important part of researching the company is, and this is why I don't like switching companies. I've literally worked for 5 companies in my 14-year career. Transland, Landstar, Schneider, like trucking, 4. I've been to 4 companies, right? Now you might be saying, well, Steve, how can you give advice on researching companies when you've only been to 4 companies? Well, because I research so well that there's not a whole lot of, I don't just up and go. I hate switching jobs. I absolutely despise changing jobs, especially in the trucking, because you got to go through the same safety seminars. You got to go through the same orientation, yada, yada, yada. Okay. And to me, that's very boring. Just put me in the truck and let me drive, right? Now, and I'll get to the comments and questions here soon. Okay. So, some of the resources you want to check out: Better Business Bureau, OIDA, truckersreport.com, YouTube, Google, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. These are all resources on researching a company. So when it comes to YouTube, so let me give you a backstory about Jeffrey Like, okay? I had discovered Jeff's channel when he was at Schneider, when I was still at Landstar, and I didn't think much of it. I thought he was a recruiter, okay? It wasn't until my friend Big Rob said, hey, Steve, you need to check out Jeff. He's you out a couple times. He's a drummer. All right. So I checked this dude out, and Jeffrey, like, he does call me out. Hey, Steve, I was at Landstar. If you need some help, I noticed that you're struggling. He reached out to me, but I initially did not trust Jeffrey like at first because I thought he was just a recruiter. But over time, he became a business consultant to me. And now, did he get a recruiting bonus for getting me over to Schneider? Absolutely. We all did. Okay. He was one of the top Schneider bonus guys, and they would tell you that in orientation. But his intention was to truly help me, not for a paycheck, because he easily could have got his 2 referral bonus checks and sent me on my way. But I remember the first night that my friend and I were trying to book loads. Jeff was there on speakerphone telling me which ones to click. Okay. And why did I trust Jeff? Because there was 2 things that I trusted when he told me about Schneider. Number 1, he had been at Schneider for 9 years at that point in time. And number 2, he flat out said, "Look, Steve, if I improperly represent Schneider, it could be my contract. So I have no choice but to tell you the truth, and I know that it would be a right fit for you," and it was. But here's the key part. He had been there for 9 years. Now, if I wanted to stay at Landstar, he had an angle on that too. He was at Landstar for over 10 years. Those are the people that you need to find. If you look at Transland's website, and this is not a recruiting video for Transland by no means, but if you look at their website, if you look at their Facebook page, they constantly are giving out rewards for people that have been there 5, 10, 15, 20. They got one guy that's been there almost 30 years. Those are the people that you talk to about a company, not people that have been there a month, not people that have been there for 3 months, not even people that have been there a year. You can talk to them, but are they going to tell you the truth, or are they getting a recruiting bonus? What is their intention by telling you what they want to tell you? And so online accountability is a huge thing that you need to look at. I would never trust the word of one driver that's been at a company talking about how good it is that's been there for less than a year. They call it the honeymoon phase. And Truckers Report, Facebook, all of it. Never trust anybody because they have an agenda. All right? If I tell you to come over to Like Trucking, you can pretty much, number 1, I would tell you, don't take my word for it. Talk to some of our other drivers. But I've also been here for almost 6 years. So I think I can, am I a little biased? Yeah, because, Like Trucking, I've been here, right? I like Trucking. Now, if I've been here a month, and you guys can go back to my old videos, my fat old me, and say, hey, I'm not really, I'm sitting there like happy that I'm at Like Trucking, but I'm not sitting here, you need to come here over here. I was just, literally talking about my experience here. And there was a time where, Jeff and I did not see eye to eye on a few things, and we solved that, obviously. And that's been talked about on other channels. But obviously, we've ironed things out because we're smart business people. We're friends, but we also communicate with each other. So when you're researching a company, how good is the communication? And that's a big part. How do they handle small, like I remember running into a US Express, I think, driver that he had to go through all these hoops just to get a light changed on a trailer. Meanwhile, Schneider had light for you to change yourself. So there's, how does your company handle the problems when they arise? And they will arise. And again, we're not talking company or owner op, we're talking both. Okay. Go to a truck stop, see the truck, ask somebody, hey, I'll buy you a cup of coffee if you'll tell me about your company. How are you doing over there? And ask them, the first question should be, how long have you been there? If you go up to a Prime truck, hey man, I want to know more about Prime. How long have you been there? Well, I've been here 3 years. Okay, cool. What are the good, the bad, and the ugly about it? I'll buy you a cup of coffee, or I'll send you a cash app if you can just help me out here. And if they won't tell anything bad, then they're lying, because every company has a bad situation. But if they go, hey, everything's awesome here, I love it. Here's my driver number. Use me as a referral. You want to dig deeper, okay? Only use the driver IDs of for a referral bonus for that driver if they actually help you. Okay. Jeffrey Like actually helped me when I went to Schneider. Buddy of mine, when I went to Landstar, same thing. I used him for a referral, and actually, no, I didn't. He didn't have a drive. Some agents did referral bonuses, no, some didn't. I think over the year and a half I was at Landstar, I got like $400 with two people. It was like $200 a piece. But it wasn't my intention to get somebody over there. And there was a person that went over to the Landstar based off of my recommendation, and they did not do well. And that person still won't talk to me to this day because they blame me. So when you take the role on social media as a recruiter, you need to answer to the negative. You need to be able to answer to the negative stuff that comes along. Hey, man, I noticed that you said that you don't deal with this and this at that company, but I've been here a month and I deal with this and this. How come, am I doing something wrong? What are you doing different that I don't have, that I don't have the same issues you do? These are the questions that you want. So you want to check out the Better Business Bureau. You want to check out OIDA. OIDA will recommend companies and not recommend companies. If you're an owner operator looking for a new company to sign your truck on to, you can hire legal teams or OIDA as a member to help you with the contract. I know that sometimes the legalese is a little bit daunting to read, but if you don't want to read it, have somebody read it for you. Pay somebody to read that contract for you. If you're doing a lease purchase or a full maintenance lease or just a straight lease or a truck rental, look at the contract. Talk to the drivers. How often does the contract change? I was grandfathered into Schneider when I was getting tolls other than Ohio and Indiana paid for. New contractors weren't, and I was careful to tell people that, hey, if you want to come to Schneider, here's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Here's my driver ID number. Oh, and by the way, you're probably going to have to pay for tolls, which is important to note because that was one of the reasons why I went to Schneider, because they did pay for tolls for the most part. Now they don't. So you have to talk to drive. I know it's hard. It's hard being sociable. You got to get your face out of that PS5. You got to get that phone game out of your hands and actually talk to people. So let's say you find a video on YouTube, and I shared one today on my community page talking about a company. All right, so that's one driver's opinion. Okay, one driver's experience at a company. Look at the comments. That video had over 5,000 views. What are all the comments saying? The comments, 90% of them were like, yes, you are right. Yes, this was my experience. Yes, you are spot on. Wow, I was getting ready to come here, but I'm not, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So that should tell you that where there's smoke, there's fire. That's the awesomeness of the social media platform. Obviously, the mega carriers are going to get a lot of hate, but they're not mega carriers if they're chumps, right? They have, what made Prime a mega carrier, what made Schneider a mega carrier, what made JB Hunt a mega carrier. And there are companies that are large that are great for being a company driver, but they're not so great for as an owner op or as a lease op. And so you have to do your research, because if you don't, then you're job hopping, and that looks bad on your application. There are people that will, I've seen when I was a trainer over at Transland, I would look at their applications. I'm like, wow, this dude's had 8 jobs in the last 6 months. Why are we hiring this person? Surely he did not have 8 times that he had bad luck. That's probably a personal issue. So if you find yourself doing a lot of job hopping, and this is the truth, and you're not going to like it, but you either A, are hard to deal with, or B, you hate trucking. And that's okay to hate trucking. There's not a perfect company out there. One of the first things that my trainer trained me on is said, you know what? As a company driver, sometimes the only difference is the name on the side of the truck and the color of your truck. That's it. They're all the same. They all have their good, their bad, and their ugly. Okay? Mentality, mindset, but you have to do your research. During 2021, a lot of companies popped up out of nowhere. Any meat in a seat. And that's partially why our rates went down, because now there was too many of them meat in the seats. Guys went out, these companies went out and bought $220,000 trucks, $80,000 trailers, put a driver in it, and they want them to run illegally. I know several people that have worked for some of these companies and are driving illegally. If a company's pushing you like that, you definitely want nothing to do with it. So you want to look at their Safer Web report. You want to look at, how many out of services do they have? You want to look at the equipment. If it's all like older equipment, how well are they maintaining it? If they're using lease trailers, like Extra Lease or Stoughton or anything like that, how well are they maintaining that? How easily do they fix truck issues? How often do they get you home? Do they keep you out when you're wanting to be out? How many miles a week? And here's the other thing. If you see a sign on the back of a trailer that says more money and more home time, don't trust that company. Because for the most part, there's no such thing. Is balance achievable? Yes. But you have to have a lot of control or be on a dedicated account to be able to achieve that. So when you're researching companies, talk to the drivers. Talk to the recruiter, but you tell the recruiter, give me the name of 5 drivers that will talk to me and tell me how good your company is. Look at the turnover rate. Ask every recruiter, what is your turnover rate? And if it's high, ask why there is a turnover rate. What is the number cause? And if they go, well, no, the turnover rate that we've had here at Like Trucking, a lot of guys went on to get their own authority. And a few guys have lost their trucks because the repairs were too high and fuel was too high. Because it's a hard market right now. But there's only been, I don't know how, There hasn't been that many that left on bad terms. And so when you look at the numbers, you want to listen to the people that have done well, right? And if a person didn't do well, then you ask them, well, why? Did they take money from you? Did they do this? Did they do that? And as a lease operator, do they want 5, 7, 10 grand down before you get into a truck? And if so, are you reading that contract? Can you get the truck on your own? Can you bring your own truck? But as a company driver, how many miles will I get this week? How do I get paid? Do I get paid percentage? Do I get paid by the hour? Do I get paid by the load? Do I get paid by the week? By the mile? And if they go, well, we pay 70 cents a mile, but yeah, what if you only get 1,000 miles a week? What's their freight background? If you're a company driver in the spot market, you're at the mercy of the market. But if you're a company driver for a company that's had the same dedicated account for a long time, then your money's probably guaranteed. These are the things that you have to um um be wary of any company that says you're family with our company. No, Sterling, I disagree because Translane told me that, and that's how they treated me. The only reason why I left, because at the time that I left, they weren't doing an owner operator program. And why? Because they knew that their guys wouldn't make money doing it, so they couldn't do the math. It wasn't until they figured out the math and get some dedicated accounts that they started it up again. If the first question you ask in a company is money related, then you've got your priorities in the wrong order. And I agree, Will Burner. Here's the deal. Money should not be your first concern. I mean, yes, it's important, but anybody can flash cash to you. Oh, you'll make $2,000 a week if you sign on with us, and we'll give you a $10,000 bonus paid over the course of 8 years. They want to attract you with the money. So if you're the kind of person that only thinks about the money, they're going to get you pretty quickly if they have the cash to do so. Anybody who's been at the Pumpkin 9 years knows what they're doing. Absolutely. How about the YouTubers that switch jobs every few months? There's look, a lot of people switch jobs every few months. And look, I get it as an influencer, which is what they call us. I hate that name, but they call us influencers on social media. You have to realize that your words have power. And if you have a huge presence, let's say you got 50,000 subscribers, people want you to help promote them because they know you have the numbers. And so you're going to have a lot of people that are very referral bonus money driven. And all they are just, it's no different than a recruiter that's being paid by, let's say, Prime's recruiter that's paid by Prime to promote the company. It's the same thing. If for some reason people think just because you're on YouTube doesn't mean that you can't be a company paid recruiter. The agenda of most one-year drivers is an ego stroke. Look at me, I'm a pro. Truth is often sunk cost fallacy. Jerry, what's up? TJ, what's up? Trucking gets old after a while, no matter who you drive for. Absolutely, Del Toro. Thanks for your help today. Problem corrected. Good deal. I'm gonna touch bases with you tomorrow, Tennessee. I'm gonna call you in the morning, okay? If I go live tomorrow, I'm gonna call you after live feed. Nothing urgent. I just wanted to touch bases and help you out with something. NASTC has a list of their recommended carriers, I do believe. Yes. NASTC. And also, look, factoring companies are a good resource as well. There's a lot of companies in question on the YouTubes, and I go to check their credit from their MC number on the website, and guess what? It's horrible. So there's that. And again, I'm not trashing anybody. I'm telling you to do your due diligence if you switch companies, whether you're company or owner operator or lease op or whatever. You have to interview the company more than they interview you. You are just a piece of meat in the seat. Okay. So of course they're going to, talk to you, right? Look, if let's say I go out and buy 3 trucks. Now I've got 3 truck payments to make. And so of course I'm going to grab anybody that I can that I know that hopefully won't crash the truck, right? So yeah, I'm going to tell you whatever you want to get you in that truck because there's an agenda there. But if a person was to go, hey, so how do you plan on doing this? How are this? Blah 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 blah. That's what should be happening. And I can't say how many people I know that have put people in a truck that they don't even know, and then they have problems with them within a month or 2 or 3 months. Talk with drivers. Talk at recruiters. Yes. This is Nevada Trails. Welcome. Sorry, NASIC doesn't have a list, but we'll help find a carrier with the NASIC membership. Okay. Nevada, what's up? Everybody's saying hi to everybody. You have to look, even if you're straight out of CDL school as a company driver looking to get in your first company as a and look, if you just went through CDL school, I don't mean to put more pressure on you, but this is how important this is. Your first company is one of the most important decisions that you will ever make in your career. And with don't be mesmerized by bling. If they're offering free satellite and the fridge and free satellite TV and free satellite radio, and guess what? That means you're never going to be home. If that floats your boat, then that's great. But if you want home time, if you've got little kids at home, that might be a problem. Ask to see their operations. One of the best things that Prime did was they showed us the operations. They showed us their office. They showed us where the dispatchers are. They didn't just, obviously they like, oh, look at our gymnasium, look at our shop, look at this, look at that. They showed us the whole entire operation, even the daycare that they have. And it was kind of enticing, but I knew what their home time was. Because I live in Springfield. You can't throw a rock and not hit somebody that worked for Prime at one time. I know people that did well there, and I knew people that would burn the building down if they had a chance. So usually that's a personal issue, and you have to be able to differentiate when it comes to that. But going back to the original intent of this video, look at truckersreport.com, talk to the drivers. Don't just believe everything you read in those stupid magazines you get at the rest areas. Don't be enticed by nothing but money or bling. Oh, we have a 2023 truck that you'll drive. Okay. What happens if it breaks down? How do you pay me? Well, it's a 2023 truck. Well, yeah, but you didn't answer the question. A recruiter is nothing but a paid salesman. Do not rely on just a recruiter. Talk to everyone and everybody. Absolutely, Wilbur. Because here's the reality. Job hopping sucks. For example, if, I once talked to a gal that literally had 14 jobs in the 10 years that she had been driving. She was never happy. It was always the company's fault. You cannot grow your business as an owner operator if you're constantly changing companies. That's like, I'm going to dig for a well. I bought this land. I'm going to dig for a well. Then you dig about 5 feet, and you're like, nah, not here. Then you dig another 5 feet somewhere else. Nah, not here. And then you're like, let me try over here. No, this won't work either. Are you ever going to get to where the water is? No. But if you keep digging and keep digging, but you have to make sure that you find the right spot in the very beginning. That's how you become successful as a company driver. That's how you become successful as an owner operator, lease operator, all of it. That's how you become successful at life. And of course, everybody's stepping in, avoid this company, avoid that company. So let's say you see that in a chat. Ask these people why. Why do you say avoid Western Express? Why do you say avoid Pam? I know the reasons why, because I talk to a lot of people. And I'm sure that these people have, Max Force and Old School, New School has their stories. The most important thing when interviewing a company is asking about their freight lanes and seeing if you can have a balanced life. That's absolutely true, Stuart. We all know Big Houston's. If you were on Zello at any point in time, we all know his experience at that company. And look, this is not a video to bash any company or to bash any YouTuber or any other social media outlet. This is the intention of this video is to make sure that you do your due diligence. Someone asked me about a company that's obviously in the buzzword. So I did some research, and within 10 minutes, I saw things that I didn't like. And I was like, you know what? This is probably going to come up again and again and again. I do have people that call me, hey, Steven, I'm looking for a good company. Can you recommend one? I can't go to like trucking because I haven't been driving long enough, yada, yada. There you go. Good deal, G-Star. During the 80s, I must have had 25 jobs due to the recession, layoffs, out of business, et cetera. 80 to 85 was terrible. And look, that's a big part of it right now. If you go to a company, and it could be a bigger company, guys. I mean, look at Celadon. Are they financially secure? Look at their stock options that they have them. If they're going down, then that they might be in trouble. If they're public, like Landstar and Schneider, when Schneider went public, a lot of things changed. This driver appreciation. Do these companies really appreciate their drivers? Do they actually listen to their drivers? Do they have the ability to filter the people that are just griping about the color of their truck, or the people that have true legit concerns? And and with the recession that we're in, and we are in one, you have to look at what's financially secure. If your company, if you're doing 1099 running the spot market for a company that may not be based from here, your chances of getting laid off or fired are a lot higher than, say, if you're doing a dedicated deal at JB Hunt. So you have to take that into consideration. What are your goals as a company driver? You want to be home every weekend? You want to make X amount of dollars? Do you want to just learn the business? Do you want to just run a certain area? Those are the questions you have to ask yourself. And then those questions need to be in the interview with the whatever person that you're talking to at the company. You want to come to Like Trucking? Talk to me and talk to Jeff. Nomadic Brit, I hope you're doing well. I've been thinking about you, sir. Yeah, I see it when it breaks up, Tolga. So hopefully the replay isn't too bad. Yeah, please do, Nomadic Brit. Shoot me a text, and I'll get to you when I can. Tomorrow shouldn't be too heavy. I've never heard of Leonard's Express. So when it comes to small companies like that, you really have to do your due diligence. And sometimes the information just isn't there. But Google reviews exist now, so you can kind of take a look at that if that even exists. And yeah, I'm aware, Max Force, of companies that I've never worked for, but I definitely know a lot of people that did. Not at that particular one, but in others, and so I can kind of give an idea. And that's look. If someone calls me, "Hey, Steve, what do you think about X company?" I'm like, "Well, I don't have any experience there, but I had 3 friends that did well over there, or I knew one guy that went there, and this was his experience." But I would never use the term "don't go there" or "do go there," unless you just tell me something so asinine. I'm like, "Well, yeah, I definitely wouldn't do that." Yeah. And yeah, if a company's public, they serve their shareholders. And their shareholder said, "Stop paying for tolls" a couple of years ago. I was at Celeron several years ago for 2 months, and it was 2 months too long. Man, look where they're at now, right? But again, this is not to trash any company. It's not to trash any YouTuber. It's or social influencer, whether it be the toxic TikTok or YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. Be aware of recruiters, regardless. Have a list. I want you to go to Truckers Report and search list for new CDL holders to ask recruiters, and that resource will come up. You can send me an email, and I'll tell you what those questions are. And if you're making a truck payment, or if you're getting ready to make a truck payment to a company, then you definitely want to do your due diligence. I know people that spent $60,000 into a truck lease, and then they get fired, and all their equity just got tossed out the window. I know a guy that was literally 3 months from paying his truck off, and they fired him over not wanting to drive in the snow so they can keep the truck. Is it ready? Okay. So these are the things that you have to, these are the things that you have to kind of take into mind. But um, I don't want this to go too much longer. My dinner's ready. I chose a program with a carrier with some fail and some win. At the end of the day, I had to do deep research and decide if it was right for me. My success here is all on how I handle my biz and work, and that's a big part of it. I learned a long time ago to stop making statements of generalization, because truly not all things are the same for everyone. And so if you're looking at, like, let's say, Shannon's at Dart. Let's say you're curious about Dart transport. Well, she'd be a good person to talk to. Why? Because she's been there a minute. But she's also the kind of person that will say, "You know what? I've only been here X amount. This is my experience so far." And so when people answer your questions like that, that's what you want to look for. Not, "Oh yeah, man, I've been here 6 months and it's awesome. I love it here." And if they say that, then you go, "Okay, what do you not like about it there? What issues have you had? What's the worst thing that's happened to you?" Get the worst case scenario right out in the open. So I hope. And CDN says, "Steve, great info. Summary is trucking's not easy." And so choosing a company should not be based on one reference point, because I know a lot of people that have signed on with companies based off of things said on social media, primarily YouTube, that had a horrible experience because they didn't do their due diligence. So with that being said, thank you for tuning in. I had almost 60 people in here at one point. I appreciate that. Guys, hit the thumbs up, share this video out. I'm going to keep it up. And if you have any questions, the email is in the description. If I don't know about a company, I can at least hopefully get you in the right direction to somebody that does. I know people that are at Prime. I know people that are at Schneider. I know people that have done other companies in the past. And as an owner operator, I've only worked for 3 companies. And I did well on each of them. Even Landstar, I did all right. I didn't lose my business. I just got frustrated with a couple of things that were an issue that other people didn't have. So part of it was me, but part of it was their system. And I'll tell you that honestly. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Have a good night. And yeah, be good, be profitable. Strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Peace.